All right, so we are joined by a special guest for a very special podcast here today. This is Alex Harvey from Andalusian Games. Am I saying that correct?
Andalusian, I believe.
Oh man, I can't say it with that cool accent. But he is here on behalf of his game Tangiers, which him and one other person. You've got a few more people on your team now, right?
Yeah, it's myself, Michael Wright, who's sitting behind me. You might be able to hear him. And there's Cap Stewart and Joseph Rubio working on the audio and the art as well.
Awesome. Yeah, these guys are currently working on a game that recently was put up on Kickstarter, and I did an article a little earlier on this year about the game itself, and we sort of wanted to bring him on to talk to him a little bit about his game, and I guess the first question is, what is Tangiers?
Switching to putting my PR hat on, it's a surrealist stealth game with a lot of points of reference from outside what normally comes into computer games. So a sort of Thief meets William Burroughs type affair.
What inspired that? I mean, it sounds like just a really unique concept.
Well, simplest way is that I've always loved Thief and I've always loved William Burroughs and so on, so I put them together in a video game.
That would make sense, yeah.
And then just gave it some really trippy visuals, and you're just like, I don't know, we're going to put a story in there, I guess, right?
Yeah, it all developed very naturally from other influences coming on board as I developed the core idea around it.
That's really cool. What is the story or plot for Tangiers? What's going on in the game? What's driving the main character as well as the player?
That's kept very minimal and enigmatic. You get a little card come up at the start of the game saying you've got to find and dispose of 5 other beings within the world. But that's the only real bit of background information you get. The rest is driven non-verbally, so to speak.
Okay, I can do that.
So it's a big secret?
No, it just goes along with the whole art style, right? Just kind of minimalistic like that?
Yeah, I want to keep it all abstract rather than spelling anything out within the game itself.
So you're going a very Ico and Shadow of the Colossus route of storytelling, of where you give a basic idea, but you never really give a full story as to why.
Yeah, I want to communicate with emotion more than exposition.
So on that note, I'm very curious, what is your background? Were you an art student or something like that? Like, where is this all coming from?
No, I never had the aspiration to go to college or university at all. I've just spent a long time sat around reading, looking through the various art books of our references. And now I want to do something on a similar line to that.
So what other inspirations do you have besides Burroughs?
We've got Dada, Throbbing Gristle, and a lot of the early industrial genres coming on board as our inspiration. J.G. Ballard as well. Some musicians sidestepping like Sun Ra.
Mm-hmm.
One at a
Go
time.
ahead, sorry.
So do you think that people without that background will still be able to appreciate this game?
Yeah, because I'm trying to draw from a broader sense of what they were trying to do rather than sticking in building a game from direct references. So I will have those little references aimed at people who do know and appreciate our influences.
So more like Easter egg allusions?
Yeah, some Easter eggs, but a lot of them do appear quite openly, sort of song lyrics and the like, though if you don't know that, that will form the general texture of the world rather than...
Well, I actually had a quick question about what, for the art for this game, were you the one that originally like drew up quick concepts and stuff? Because I could see all of looking at the game, it must have been really difficult to describe to someone what this game would look like, especially with the characters and how the world is shaped. And even in your gameplay video that you have up on the Kickstarter, it's all those things look very precise to a vision. How did you project that and really show that to someone else to be able to really get them to understand your vision?
Oh,
Oh, did we lose him?
Oh
I'm
no.
not sure.
Oh, sorry.
Ah, there he is.
Are you still there?
Yeah, still there. I was just thinking how to answer that. It's
Oh, okay, all right. We just didn't know if we lost you because he said you might fade in and out.
yeah, no, still here. It's yeah, it's a difficult one to answer, really.
Riley's a complicated person.
Well, coming from having, I like to pretend that I am an aspiring artist, and it's just, I know that sometimes when I'm drawing up things or I'm trying to create a vision, it's really hard for me to sometimes describe it to someone and have them understand what I'm going for, unless I just straight up draw it out and I'm like, here, this is what I'm thinking, and they're like, oh, okay, I get it. So I wanted to know if this was like a difficult thing, going to Michael and being like, hey, this is, what I'm, this is my idea, or whoever it really was that came up with the entire concept of the characters and the world. Was that ever difficult trying to convey to the other person what you were going for?
Yeah, that's quite a difficult point, especially with Michael. A lot of time it's hand him a general concept to draw from when working on things rather than the specifics, which generally only come into fore with the complete sort of package of the game.
Okay, and like with a new concept artist coming in, are you able to really? Is that person really catching on to what it is that you see as that vision? Are you like, is he just bringing in stuff and you're like, yeah, that's good, I like that, or is it you had to sort of show him
This
along
is what
a
you're
little
going to
bit?
do.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, with the concept artist, we had one of the ideas about bringing someone else on board was to spread the scope of the artistic direction rather than just have it constantly my input and output, to have that little sidestep in direction.
Okay, so you wanted a little bit of an outside view upon the vision that you had so that they can put in their own little taste to it, correct?
Yeah, that's what we're doing with a lot of the people on board. I think there's enough scope for them to put a little bit of their own expression in on top of my main core of the game.
All right, cool. I guess we should probably move on to the next thing, which is like what's your favorite gameplay mechanic in the game? Like, I know that you've talked a little bit about the words and stuff like that.
That looked really cool in the video.
I'm
I
so
saw
curious
that.
about that.
Yeah, that was really neat.
Probably going to the most conventional mechanic will just be the stealth, which I love stealth in games, especially with Thief. And I think so far we've nailed the right level of tension and the sort of exploratory side of the stealth that you get in the Thief games is what I'm most proud of so far.
Well, that's good because even just, I guess we should talk about the words and stuff like that and how those actually work into the game. Just for people who don't really know exactly what the words and how you can actually use them, describe that mechanic a little bit.
Well, whenever a character in the game speaks a line of dialogue, it appears above their head in written text, and that then is part of the world and it falls down, hits the floor once they finished speaking. And you can then go up and collect those words, and each word will have both a general use to it and a specific use. So if you've got someone saying come here or go there, then that's the more general distraction use. But if you've got something more specific, like, oh, it's just rats, then collecting the word rats, as well as distracting someone with it, you can then use that to materialize rats within the world.
That's really cool, actually. I don't know, that's just kind of just blowing my mind a little bit.
Yeah, with the words, when you say you can use them, for example, like I read that you could use them to like mess with other people. Does that mean if you collect them, you can stick them back in the air around somebody else and confuse them that way? Or how would you use them per se?
Yeah, you can place them in the world. So that's one of the ways you can spread sort of disinformation. So if you've got someone who says, come here, go left, then you can place that in the world, and passing enemies will hear that as if another enemy had said it and sort of redirect to where it's implying you might be.
So I have a question about this mechanic. How practically does it work? Do you think, like, are you stuck in a menu looking for specific phrases, or are they kind of prompt-based? How does that work?
It's going to be, at the moment, I'm tweaking the actual interface that we'll use, but probably a radial menu to quickly select specific words, or just placing them will go through from the more general words that you use up first. Yeah, and then up to some of the more specific ones, which it'll leave at the end of your stockpile.
It's not bad. I like it.
Yeah, it's really kind of a weird mechanic that I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in a game ever, and it almost seems a little really ambitious for a game, just an indie game, really. Do you feel kind of intimidated in making this and, in trying to make this work the way you want?
Not so much, because technically it's using a lot of the AI code, so that if you play something that says go left, then from the game's perspective, it's doing the same thing as if another enemy character had said go left. So it doesn't cover a lot of new ground from a coding perspective.
Okay. Probably the next thing we should get on to.
Are you still talking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of, I lost my thing in Google Docs, sorry. And then everyone started freaking out in it, I think. For the art style in the game, did that affect the gameplay, or does it affect the gameplay in a certain way?
Well, the art style originally defined the gameplay, because I had a more general, fast-paced, third-person action slant to what I originally wanted Tangiers to be. But when I started coming up with the first screenshots, I thought that would be wasted on such a strong visual look, so I moved the focus of being a stealth game to suit that art style. And of course, you've got the strong use of light and shadow, which is a core part of the stealth mechanics.
Makes sense to me. It just looks like I mean this in a good way, but it just looks like a nightmare. But it's really cool nightmare. It's like everyone's Slender Man almost.
I was actually saying in that they kind of all look like broken toys, like old toys, and I believe it was Jay said they kind of look mannequin-like as well, and that I guess that's what kind of makes them sort of look really eerie and weird.
Yeah, the broken toy thing. It's interesting you should say that, because with our musician, I gave him a list of sort of keywords to include in the personality of the music, and one of them was an undertone of nostalgia.
Ah. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. So was that kind of an idea of when you were creating those characters, was you sort of wanted to have a feel for them being these kind of broken looking creations?
Yeah, I wanted to carry over the concept that you're in a broken world with that side of the look.
Well,
actually
that
really cool.
part carries across pretty well, especially since, you know, you do go on to say that, like, the world does, like, break around you and then reforms itself. So, continuity is good in all things.
Also, it's the other thing that I wanted to compliment you on is that game looks really interesting in screenshots, but actually is 10 times more interesting in motion, because the way that the screenshots looked is exactly the way it looks in motion, which I was originally thinking would be very difficult for you to do, especially with the way you're trying to create that world. And it really seems to be like, it's early on, and you know, there were little jitters and stuff every here and there, but honestly, it looked really cool. Are you really feeling like it's going in the direction that you wanted it to?
Definitely, there's a lot of things that come out when you're running through the world from the from the particle effects as you pass through them, which doesn't really carry across in screenshots, but feels really immersive and location setting when you're actually going through it.
Yeah, that's really awesome. What's your target audience for this? Because I know you're talking a lot about stealth. Who are you really hoping will latch on to this game?
Well, my first target audience is myself, making a game that I'd want to play. And
Good
hopefully
call.
it will pass out to people with the same sort of interests that I've got, who enjoy boroughs, enjoy Dada, various types of avant-garde, and of course, enjoyed Thief.
So in other words, it's gonna have a very hardcore stealth sort of mechanic, just like Thief. Because again, when you first contacted me, it was about, you were talking with me about the article that I wrote about how I didn't like how Blink pretty much broke any sense of stealth in the game Dishonored. And it if someone likes Dishonored, do you think they would be able to come into this game pretty easily, or do you think it would be kind of a difficulty curve that might turn them off to it?
I hope the difficulty curve isn't too steep, but there'd certainly be a step up at the start into the rhythm of things within Tangiers.
Okay. Did anyone else have any questions about the audience, or because I know that Stephanie, you're actually playing Dishonored and you're really liking that. I mean, do you feel in any way? I don't know how you feel about most stealth games, but do you feel kind of intimidated by something that's very hardcore stealth and it's sort of the way that he's presenting it?
Not really, because I like stealthing in like any game that I play. I haven't quite gotten through Dishonored, but I was just thinking, you don't start out with Blink, do you? I was like, that's one of the things that you have to get into. So if
I think
you
get
do
it fairly early
enjoy,
on.
oh, do you? Oh, but I think one of the things that you do have to get used to is you have to stealth like sometime. You can't just start blinking through everything. And if that's one of the mechanics that you like, you're not going to suddenly forget how to do it. And
Well,
it's something that I hope you would enjoy if you are going to go looking into a game like Dishonored, like Thief. So the learning curve is not, to me, doesn't sound like it should be that steep.
I've just known people who have, like, they like Dishonored, but do not like any other type of game that has any vague sense of stealth at all. They just don't even deal with it because of the fact of, it's such a difficult thing to get down, especially with, like, Splinter Cell or Thief, that really hardcore, like, you have to be quiet,
Slow.
you have to follow the enemies, learn their patterns, you know? Like, it's methodical, yeah. And
Yeah. I'd say the big step would be learning to hold back rather than instinctively move forwards like in Dishonored.
Will the enemies be moving in will they have patterns and timing to them, or will they just be moving any which way?
They'll have patterns with them. It's being able to control and manipulate those patterns will be a large part of the gameplay itself.
As well as, like you mentioned, the light and the darkness, right? I feel like a lot of stealth games, it'll feel like you're hiding in plain daylight and still no one manages to see you. Like, will it be forgiving if you go into the light, or will you just be immediately spotted, or...
Well, even in the gameplay video, you can, like, run around a little bit in light without, like, alarms going off, but
yeah, we're
get
still
noticed.
calibrating that precisely. Still calibrating that precisely, but we don't want to be overly forgiving or unrealistic. So if you stand in the light in front of someone, they will see you. But if you come up right next to them, you'll get a split second before they do catch you. There's a little moment in the trailer which didn't come quite through after editing, and where while you move past the enemy, it does catch a quick glimpse of you and the player freezes while it cools down.
Okay, yeah.
Because that's also something that was a good question. Is it like, because I know some games it's like either you're in the dark or you're in the light. If you're in the light, you're seen. If you're in the dark, you're fine. But then there's all those middle grounds. So you are trying to go for the whole, like, if you were to blitz through the light really quickly to a dark area, the enemy would be like, what was that? And go over and investigate it, but you could still sneak around them.
Yeah, that's another thing I'm aiming for, purely because there's a lot of times in stealth games where I've got really annoyed by being seen very briefly by enemies I wasn't entirely aware of. And that's just really frustrating and bringing the whole game outside of your control when things are happening and you don't know why.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that, and I bet that is going to take a lot of time to work on. How long have you been working on just the stealth mechanic of the game itself?
The stealth mechanic was about 2 months of work in laying out the various detections, tweaking the algorithm that defines how visible you are. And now it's just tweaking it to get the right gameplay balance going.
All right. What's the experience been like building a game from the ground up, honestly? Like, is this an engine that you guys completely created yourselves? Or are you using something like Unreal or...
I thought he said Unity.
Is Unity? I was just about to ask that. Okay, it's Unity, but building in that, how has that been for you guys?
Unity's been quite easy to build in. I was originally going to go for UDK, but it's really overwhelming with the amount of options it gives you, which, given we're a small team and we've got to move fast, that wouldn't really suit us. But with Unity, we're using an add-on called Antaraz, which is a visual programming plugin. So it's more circuit board diagrams rather than coding in syntax. And that streamlined things quite rapidly. So although it's been stressful, it's not been full of too many hurdles.
Yeah, because I was going to say, Unity is very programming based. I know that, like, UDK is very visually based because it's a lot of just connecting things, and you can go into the coding of it, but usually you can sort of tweak your way around that. So I was kind of curious how you were actually doing it in Unity, if you guys were just going pure coding, but since you said that you're using that grid-based sort of mechanic, that's kind of really interesting. How long have you actually been building the game itself? Because I know it's like there's the concept stage and then actually building it.
Let's see. I think building the game from a coding point of view would be probably January. I started on that, maybe end of December. Prior to that was a lot of testing ideas, but actually building Tangiers was from start of the year.
Okay, cool. What current state is the game? Is it pre-alpha, alpha, beta?
It's pre-alpha at the moment. We're about 4 weeks away, 4 weeks worth of solid work away from putting out a playable demo, but unfortunately financial strains have meant us to launch the Kickstarter a tad before that, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. When are you expecting you might, does a lot ride upon this Kickstarter? Is this something that might make or break the game?
Yeah, if we don't get the Kickstarter, then we're in a very shaky position with the game, because we'll have to get full-time jobs, clear all the debts we've built up working on this, which isn't going to do much for our focus on the programming side of things.
Yeah, I have a few questions about the Kickstarter itself, actually. What prompted you to use Kickstarter instead of Indiegogo for a starter?
Not many people use Indiegogo. A lot of Indiegogos do quite terribly, and given that we're quite a niche offering with Tangiers, it wasn't something I was willing to stomach.
Yeah.
Okay,
And also, with Indiegogo, it takes money out of people's accounts when they put their pledge down, which, looking through failed projects, has caused a lot of stress and hassle from people responding to "where is my money" emails after the campaign's over.
Yeah, and then other question just with Kickstarter, you kind of answered one of my other questions, which would be what would happen if the Kickstarter failed. Do you think that you can really make the game with that Kickstarter goal? Do you think that you would need more? Would this be a launching point to then go to investors, or what's your whole thought process?
With what we've laid down, that's how much we need to get the game made, as we've put up on the Kickstarter, living pretty bare bones and using some very minimal and old equipment. What we'd really like to do is get an extra developer on board, which would give us more focus on the different areas, developer doing coding, me doing art, Michael doing all the heavy lifting. So hopefully we might be able to get a grant, which we're looking into at the moment, but with the Kickstarter total, that's entirely feasible for us to get the game made. I've put a lot of time in counting how long it takes us to do things to work that out.
And then what would your plan be for advertising, distribution? Do you have plans yet, or are you just focusing on just getting it done?
I'm focusing on getting Kickstarter done at the moment. I think about 6 months into development, we'll start looking at the advertising side of things to see how much money we've got to play around with on that and see where we can take it.
What have you done for advertising the Kickstarter so far? Like, I know you've been around Twitter, and that's how you found, like, Riley, and that's how you found, well, Gary's been around Twitter as well, but have you been doing other things like that?
I've been constantly emailing various people, trying to get them to give us some attention. Biggest help we've had with the advertising is Rock Paper Shotgun's Jim Rossignol, who was the first person to pick us up, and from there it spread to Eurogamer and The Escapist, which has given us a lot of hits.
That's really awesome. I'm glad to hear that you're getting some views. I mean, are you, at this point, this also is trying to get out a little bit of the word about your game as well as the Kickstarter to try to get a little more funding for you guys. What do you think is going to make this project, what do you think you're going to have to do to make this project successful on Kickstarter? Do you think it's just going to be able to do it on its own, or, I mean, what are you thinking you're going to have to do?
Mostly get people to spread word of mouth to the right people, because we've got a very tight focus in who's actually going to want to play the game. And while we could get an article up on one of the big sites, it's not guaranteed that it'll be seen by the right people. So it's all about spreading word of mouth.
Okay. And because this seems to be a big thing, especially on Kickstarter right now, what is all of this money going towards? I think people like to feel safe about when they're going in, they don't know who they're giving money to. What are you guys going to be using all this money towards?
First off, it will be software licenses. Then we're going to go on to new equipment for Michael, because his laptop's held together by duct tape, and his office chair keeps sending him on the floor.
That's awesome.
Then we're going to cover our freelancers, the music and the character art. Then it will go on to feeding us and paying our rent.
That seems reasonable enough, because you guys are didn't you say that Michael left his job and this is all he's doing at this point?
I left my job. Michael,
you did? Okay.
Yeah, Michael didn't have one to begin with.
Yeah, been on the dole since dropping out of uni.
Yeah, he's been variously on the dole and homeless for the most of the development of Tangiers. So
yeah, this might hopefully it'll be a rags to riches situation involving this.
Fingers crossed it pays off.
Yeah, it's good to hear that is going towards because we also have you were actually kind of not happy about this earlier, as Gary was telling me, the whole Doom That Came to Atlantic City board game that was on Kickstarter. It was funded and it got well over 100,000, right, Gary?
Yeah, 122,000, and it was only asking for 35,000.
Yeah, and then that managed to somehow they mismanaged all their money, and now they're in a horrible place. They're having to promise money back to people and trying to finish up this thing. How do you feel about that whole situation?
Well, firstly, sympathies to the guy behind it, because I can only imagine how much stress he's under right now. But moving past that, it really pisses me off that how irresponsible he's being with regards to his backers and with the Kickstarter ecosystem as a whole, because it makes everyone look bad and removes faith and trust in the system.
Yeah, there's also the Double Fine adventure where they somehow mismanaged all those millions of dollars and are now having to do a separate release schedule.
I find that completely inexcusable for someone who's been in the game industry since the 90s to not understand how to scope his own game. That really ticks me off. And then he just comes in and he's like, can I have more money? And everyone's like, sure.
Well, when you're going beyond your bare minimum scope, it's hard to know when to stop when you've got all this money to play with. And for Tangiers, for example, if you do get your stretch goals, for example, and people do fund beyond your 35,000, do you have similar plans? Do you have any real idea how you would expand it?
Alienwares.
Yeah, Alienwares, and mostly going into a third developer to make it easier for us.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the planning around that is balancing the extra scope and the extra resources, moving favourably into the extra resources so that we don't end up overshooting in what we promise, getting our eyes bigger than our stomach, etc.
Is that going to... you mentioned that a lot of it is going to go into hiring another developer. Will we see, similar expansions in game, for example? Will it grow bigger in that sense, or will it just be involved in making the game come out faster, for example?
A bit of both. I'm not looking at it as if put an extra developer on board, get an extra developer's worth of add-ons, because that doesn't give us any leeway if things go wrong, and we could end up in a Atlantic City situation. But there's a lot of sort of intertwining narrative mechanics that the extra developer will allow us to put into the game, which, if it happens, I'm quite looking forward to doing.
I like that.
Yeah. Was that ever kind of nervous knowing, especially with the way people are sort of reacting to money with Kickstarter and this crowdfunding stuff? Did that make you feel nervous when you finally set that final, like, we have to hit, 35,000, this is what we need to do this? Was that ever really nerve-wracking for you to actually put in as the final?
Yeah, aside from it being a lot of money, it's quite a lot of money to raise, which is always very nerve-wracking.
I could only imagine that. But let's actually go into something a little more lighthearted and just ask a few little fun questions. Was there anything funny or weird that's happened so far during development? Like, just in making this game, has anything really weird happened to you guys, or even just in the game itself?
There's a few weird things which have popped up. Some of them which have ended up in the game. Originally, the words mechanic itself came from a from a coding glitch, when we used to have a little question mark or exclamation mark above each of the characters showing their awareness state, and I'd accidentally put physical properties on one of them, and it fell and hit the floor, which gave me the inspiration for that.
That's kind of cool.
That's pretty awesome.
So that's what inspired the whole mechanic that pretty much, at this point, really makes this game stand out, too, from the art style.
Yeah, and that originally came about by fluke, which is a bit amusing to us.
That's pretty great.
Can you still use the question marks or exclamation marks in the current build? Like, to confuse them, or...?
No, we're focusing on words rather than punctuation.
Okay, alright.
Maybe something to think about is possibly doing punctuation as a way of altering the way words affect the environment and characters.
That's something we could do with the if we got a third developer on board.
Yeah, that would be really
That's
cool.
why they need more backers.
Exactly. Stretch goals. We had punctuations.
Rogue semicolon.
I have a question.
Oh God.
Nobody knows what to use those with. Don't be silly.
Someone has a
Tell me.
question?
I have a question. Can I put the game in my mouth?
Wow, you really asked that?
You actually
If
asked
you go
that.
for the 80 quid physical goal, you can put the game in your mouth.
You can put it
I
on
had
a
to do
flash drive and then put it into your mouth.
Oh,
But will it be tasty?
I gotta
I
break
thought
up
so.
the monotony here.
Hey. But, because one of the actual questions in here was about the desktop laptop, or the duct tape laptop, sorry. And, like, that's one of the things that the money's gonna go towards. What has been one of the hardest things for you guys to overcome in it so far in making this?
That would be not having a job or any money whatsoever to spend on things like rent or food. We're living off rice at the moment. Occasionally we put an onion in it if we're treating ourselves.
Can I bake you a cake and mail it to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because no.
We should all,
I feel you need a cake.
we
right
need
now.
to do like a bake sale for them or something. Get Stephanie to make a bunch of stuff and then just
Thanks
send
for
you guys money.
Tangiers.
The Tangiers fundraiser for food.
Do you like flapjacks?
Who doesn't?
That's a pancake, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think flapjacks different in America.
don't
No,
know.
no, it's the
Blackjack's
same.
different in
She's just
America.
silly. No, it's the exact same. She just has no idea what she's talking about.
She's Canadian. Don't worry about her.
It just has a different name in the States.
It has different names everywhere.
I had to make sure. Just don't hate me.
No one hates you, Stephanie. We love you.
But I'll
I
still
guess-
make a cake.
Dude, if you can get a cake to them, I'm pretty sure Michael would be totally psyched for that.
Absolutely.
I think you
Michael's
should.
all about the cake.
I think you should take a picture of that laptop with duct tape and all, and put that as your Kickstarter image.
Andalusian appeal.
Just this.
Yeah,
This is what we're
put that
doing.
on
Come
the Kickstarter so that people can see. It's like, this is what we're working with. Please.
I don't
I was
know.
thinking of taking a picture of Michael and putting this is what I'm working with, but
Oh gosh.
That's good.
Well, we gotta work
the
with
pig
Louis.
donation. Oh, that's
Well-
not nice. I am
Exactly.
a
If
charming
I were,
individual. I don't
You're
have
something.
I don't have a British accent, but I got the charm. Yeah.
I'll totally donate $5 just because of that.
just because of the charm.
No, just because of the him working with Michael.
Fair enough. I don't know how much
I'm gonna
I feel
do
for
it
like
right now.
pity vote here, because if I want to put money towards something, I want to be reasonably assured that the computer they're working on isn't gonna fall apart. If
I will throw money at them.
I want them to eat so that they don't die.
yeah,
That's why I
one of
want
our
to give
drives
them
behind
money.
Kickstarter.
Sadly, I have no money as well, and this is leading to a lot of issues.
Hey, you know what? I'm broke too, but I will totally throw money at them.
Just throw
I'm
it.
not broke, but
Then,
I will
Steph-
throw money and cake. So,
yeah,
No,
you
take
totally
it
need to.
first.
Send the cake first. There,
clearly
Stephanie.
you're gonna have to sell to me.
Yeah,
What else?
I'm pretty
what
sure
else
if you
do we
send
got?
them like the greatest cake ever, they'll just be like, "Here, have the game. It's okay. It's you gave us cake."
I don't know. Like I said, I live in Canada. By the time it makes it there.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll say one thing. I wasn't too sure about backing this game to begin with, but now that I sat down and heard what you guys have to say, I am definitely gonna put my $5 or $10 towards the game.
Cheers. I hope it
Yeah,
tastes good enough.
Mm-hmm. The video that you came up with, I haven't looked at your other developer videos yet because I'm bad. But you mentioned that there were other cities, right? Will they look the same? Is it the same kind of art style in that like very stark black and white type of feel, or is it going to be different? You said there were going to be like some outside landscape type things. Will the soundtrack reflect that as well? So like what we see in the trailer isn't going to be all that's going to be included in the game?
Oh yeah, we're going for different sort of visual and gameplay flow themes with each level, which will, although the cities will always be in the stark black and white look, they will look very different in terms of architecture, surroundings, use of space and form. And the landscapes are our playground with going for different looks, different colour palettes. There's you'll find just about anything outside, and with the music we're doing a sort of back and forth influence each other. So I'll send him an early build of a level, he'll send me a track back, I'll incorporate some of the feeling in that and then send it back to him and carry that on.
So the theme is going to be similar, is what you're saying, right? Like slight differences, but quite similar throughout. So it's always going to have that slightly, I would say, claustrophobic feeling to the music and to the gameplay, because it is a thief-like gameplay, I would think.
Yeah, it'll always have that. That's its core personality, but we're going to explore that as far as we can in terms of keeping it away from being too monotonous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because even like in Thief, if he is using it as much as an inspiration as he says, even that game has a lot of levels of like, it's claustrophobic inside like a city, but there's still plenty of area for you to explore within it. It's never like you just have this one direct path. So that's especially when he first contacted me about this game and was telling me about it, and I saw it, it kind of already sold me on the concept of it, because just thinking of what Thief is and applying it to what he's trying to do with this game, it just sounds really ambitious and really cool. So, I'm pretty sure there's going to be plenty to do within the environments, especially on how you approach situations, correct?
Yeah, because in Thief, even within the cities, you can look at the different feel of the levels, from the ones which are at the bottom of the street to the occasions where levels take place on the rooftops. There's a complete change in the rhythm and flow of things just by that simple changeover.
Speaking of ambition, if this flies and this does well, do you have any ideas for anything else? Like, is this your one-shot wonder, or do you actually have any other ideas floating around that you might think will become other games or similar games or continuations?
If we get to follow it up, I want to do some sort of sequel to Tangiers, but with a completely different gameplay theme to it. So rather than the thiefy stealth, something that turns it on its head and challenges. So an action RPG maybe. And going on from that, there's my dream game to make is a sort of System Shock-alike, but we'll tackle that when we get there.
You're talking about like every game that I love over here. Good lord, you just said System Shock? Come on now, man.
Have you played Pathologic at all?
Yes, I have.
Because my dream game is System Shock meets Pathologic, so...
I think he came.
I think my brain just, I can't even process how amazing that game would be, and how insanely complex it would be.
Yeah, I'd make it now, but it would kill me, so...
I'd probably want to get some more money before you start going for something that big. No.
Not the tentacle game, but wasn't there like a big squid or something in it?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm thinking of something completely different then.
It's like this weird game. It was made by a bunch of Russians, so you already know it's crazy. But like you're as these like healers in this town where there's this plague, and the town is completely like open, and everything's timed, and it's really weird. Look it up. It's very interesting. I would recommend it if you're into games like System Shock, or just very story heavy as well as very ominous. What's the word I'm looking for? It just feels, everything feels very ominous.
And it is, of course, completely broken technically. And
yeah,
as you near the last act of the game, you can tell that they ran out of translation budget and nothing makes sense whatsoever.
Oh no.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, again, it's like, it's also funny because I originally was like, this is probably just because crazy Russians, but then I was like, oh no, it's just bad translating. My bad.
Crazy Russians.
Hey, it's just saying, Russians can make some really interesting games. Look at Stalker, Shadow Chernobyl, and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever played a Russian game.
A what game?
A Russian game?
You
I heard
probably
you say
have.
run.
Yeah, I heard that too. But I guess something that we could probably go out on is like, I know that we know that you're working on your own stuff right now, and that's taking up most of your time, but is there any games that you're looking forward to in the future, or anything that's caught your interest?
First thing I'm doing when I get a chance to catch my breath is playing through Cairo, which looks and feels beautiful from what I've seen from it.
Which game?
Cairo. It's a relatively new indie game where you're exploring and solving puzzles within a massive, stark, monotone environment.
Huh. I haven't heard of that one. I'm actually going to have to look into that then. What are you feeling about next generation consoles?
I've never been much of a console gamer, except for getting a 360 for when people come round. PS4 looks alright, but I can't stand the controller.
What?
Yeah, I'm on
Well,
the same boat as
I-
you.
How about
Really?
this?
Is it?
The
The-
PlayStation
Kills my
3
fun.
controller was
It's
awful.
They just announced that the Xbox One will be able to be used to develop games. Would that have any effect on which way you would swing?
So that'll make it easier for Microsoft to screw indies over.
Yeah, basically.
Hey! He got you on
There
that
it
one,
is.
Louis.
No, I was asking because they literally just announced it like an hour or two ago.
I got a
I was-
question, actually.
Go ahead.
Are you planning on developing anything for the Wii? I don't know if it's gonna kind of
Yeah, I was
cross
gonna.
over, but because the hardware is not very good.
We're quite low fidelity, so it might run on the Wii. I'm not sure what I'd jury rig into the controller, so...
Oh no, the
The
OUYA. Ouya, there we go.
Ouya, I'd quite like to rework the game for Ouya, changing it to be a little more streamlined and consoleized. I've got a few ideas which would make that quite fun to do. But we'll have to see if the Ouya collapses by the time we get there.
Sure,
Yeah,
they're
it's-
not doing very well right now.
Very
Yeah,
true.
because you could probably actually get an interesting game into their marketplace for once.
Yeah.
Finally.
As an Ouya owner, yes, I agree.
Well, I have one as well, and the only thing I use it for is emulator.
Yeah, same.
That sounds like the general consensus from every person who owns an Ouya.
Which is kind of upsetting.
Pretty much.
They're
Anyways,
Unless
They're
you want to do a
working on it.
50k Kickstarter to get your exclusive Ouya money.
yeah, they're definitely doing that.
I'm not.
No one else will.
I'm not really gonna go back on that because I like the console. I think it's a cool idea.
It's a cool concept. I just don't think it was executed exactly the way they needed. Because for me, it's like any console that's released is an expensive paperweight unless it has good games with it. And all the games that are on it right now, I can either get on my phone or I already own.
Okay. So on the console thing, you mentioned fidelity, and you mentioned you wanted to put it on the Wii. Was what you said?
I'd like to put it on the Ouya if it's still around.
Mm-hmm. And were you thinking of any of the other consoles? Like I know you don't really like Xbox Live Arcade, maybe, but like the PlayStation Network has its own downloadable thing too. I think, right?
From what I've heard, from what I've heard is that PlayStation is a little more friendly towards their indie devs. So would that be something that you would look into?
Even if you hate the controller. Do you all just have big hands?
It's I've got normal thumbs. That's a problem. If it's feasible with our resources to put it on PlayStation, I wouldn't say no to the extra money. Not a priority now, of course. That's just getting a game out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What?
That sounded like a question.
No, I actually accidentally tapped the
He sneezed.
button, sort of, with my finger.
Anyways,
I guess we're kind of rounding this out and kind of coming to the end. Is there anything that, just as a last thing that you would want to sort of tell anyone out there or tell us about the game?
I wanted to know why Andalusia.
Oh, yeah.
That is Louis Buñuel and Salvador Dali did one of the first surrealist films, which was Un Chien Andalou, or An Andalusian Dog, which we stole the name from.
Huh. We
You
were,
sound like a very
we were racking our brains earlier because we were so confused about that.
We were trying to figure out how to even say it too, and I guess I'm never going to be able to say it right. I just don't have that awesome accent.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the comments threads that we're seeing who think we're actually in Spain, which is a bit disappointing, but we're not.
You should just, on your Kickstarter, also just create a video that just has you saying the name really quickly, and that's all the video is. It's just like, here you go, this is how you say it.
That's
I think that
silly.
might be a stretch goal.
All right, if there's nothing really else that you want to go into or tell us about, and about you guys or the game or anything, are you happy with what you were able to get out there as far as what you wanted to tell or know about the game?
Yeah, I think that covers just about everything, other than please support us. We really need money, and Michael needs a wheel.
Are you going to
Sounds
come out
good.
with another making of the game video soon?
Yeah, we're going to be doing that regularly. I want to get at least 2 or 3 up each week during a campaign.
Excellent, because I'm going to be watching those.
Yeah, I think at this point we're all going to be pretty much looking forward to this game and seeing how it comes out, because we're all rooting for you.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this. I'm rooting for you guys 100%. If I had money, I'll probably throw in like $10, and then I also need to eat.
Yeah, I'll find $10 somehow.
We appreciate the support, you guys.
I'm gonna sell my TV.
Alright. Thank you for
You're already
joining us
selling
today.
your TV.
Oh,
I'm gonna sell my TV and put all the money towards this game.
We tried setting up TV, but they didn't want it.
I'm
So,
gonna get
lost our remote
flown
control.
out there.
You've got the best poor supporters ever. That's all I can think of from this podcast. Wow.
Alright, well, thank you for coming on here and talking with us.
No
Exactly.
problem, thanks for having us.
Definitely. See, these are the interesting people you meet on Twitter, so you should all follow him. Oysterfake? Is that your only Twitter?
Yeah, do I follow you on Twitter?
I don't think you do. Let's get on
You
it.
don't follow
I
on
think
Twitter.
you follow me.
There's gonna be mass tweeting going on today.
Yes, very much tweeting.
Yep.
Oh my
That's gonna
god,
happen.
were you guys totally in that podcast? I totally was in that podcast. My god.
Oh my god.
That podcast. Speaking of podcasts, we are still doing one tonight, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be a little
Maybe.
naked because I don't think there are going to be a lot of people here.
It's,
Oh
But
my, she
it's
said
going to be
naked.
done.
oh wait, we're all gonna be naked? I don't want to be naked. I don't.
I'm
oh no.
gonna be naked.
I will. I don't
Oh.
care.
No pants dance.
There
That's
you go.
Louis.
So,
I'm
people
proud
who
of
are
my
listening,
body.
you will have a naked Louis. You can look forward to that.
This one's
It's
free.
okay, I'll throw a bagel at her.
We are horrible.
All right. So,
Anyways,
I'm sorry, Alex.
Are you going to be streaming it, or?
Of course.
Oh god, no.
it's an audio stream. It's an audio stream.
Oh.
maybe I'll start a Kickstarter for striptease or something. I don't know.
A
Try to
really
kick
good
starter
podcast.
for the naked
So we can
podcast.
move
pretty
off
sure-
of Twitch. That's exactly what we want to do.
10,000 takes off the shirt.
Taking to the big leagues here.
Well,
Let's start
for,
talking stretch goals.
For those people that don't know, our Twitch is twitch/GS Roundtable. And then head on over to GameSkinny.com and check out the website for all your gaming news.
And this will actually be showing up, hopefully, in the next couple of days on our YouTube page. Just the audio of it will be up there. And that's GS Roundtable on YouTube.
Yeah, and thanks again. A huge thanks to Alex for joining us. I know that this was really last minute and it was kind of crazy and thrown together really fast. So we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come and join us for this.
No, thanks for giving us the time to talk about myself.
No
We
worries,
love
man.
you.
Rob loves you.
Rob loves you. That's all you need.
I think Michael loves your cake more, though.
Yeah, I
No.
love
No.
cake.
Wait, what type
I'll
of
get
cake?
on that then.
Yeah.
You know,
What type of cake, though?
I think something with chocolate in it. Do you have carrot cake in America?
I
Yes.
love carrot cake. All right, I love you guys already.
Brilliant. Yeah, a carrot cake or something chocolatey, but not chocolatey carrot cake, because that just sounds a bit sordid and wrong.
That's too much awesome
that's
in one
kind of
cake.
gross.
Stephanie, you need to make 2 cakes now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
You're thinking, man.
Okay, so too much cake for me.
Too much cake. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Yeah, thank you guys. We keep ranting.
Indeed. I hope we see you later tonight. Well, I won't see you later tonight. I have a job.
Stephanie's
But-
teaching us.
You don't have a job. Don't lie.
Jobs are for the
And
jobless.
thank you from Alex and Michael. Thank you.
Cheers.
See you guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.